Welcome, Monster fans, to The Landscape, presented by Hospitality Staffing Solutions. I'm the voice of the Cleveland Monsters, Tony Brown, and today we're sitting down with Trey Fix-Wolansky. We call him the franchise on the Monsters side because he's got essentially all the offensive club records, and we're lucky to have him today. Fixie, thanks for taking a few minutes.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tony.
Of course. Well, I thought we'd start maybe a little chronologically here. Let's go all the way back to the 2019 Calder Cup playoffs. You had just wrapped up your season with the Edmonton Oil Kings, and you joined the club, I think in Toronto, right, for those playoff games.
Yeah.
Looking back, I mean, you've traveled quite a distance here with the Monsters organization and in your career since then. But, you know, what was it like? Fresh out of junior, right into the American League playoffs.
Yeah, like you said, fresh out of junior. Wasn't really too sure what to expect. Never really seen AHL games on TV that much or watched any in person. So I just knew I was super excited to get the opportunity to play professionally, especially in the playoffs. And our team in Edmonton had a pretty good run, made it to the Eastern Conference semifinals, and then kind of just used that to my advantage and came up here and tried to make an impact on the game any way that I could. When I got in the lineup, I watched, I think, the first game in Toronto, and then that second game in Toronto, I was lucky enough to get into the lineup. So, I wasn't really too sure what to expect, but looking back on it now, it was great for my career, and it was a great experience.
Yeah, great to jumpstart that second season, your first full pro season, having at least some understanding of the people, the personnel, all that stuff. Did you score a goal in that first game?
Not in the first game, but
at some point in that series, I thought you had a goal.
One of the games here in Cleveland, I ended up scoring my first AHL goal and had an assist that same game. So
it's pretty crazy, man. We were just talking before we started shooting here how time flies. I mean, you're now, 260-plus games into your career now, parts of 6 seasons with the Monsters. You know, back then you couldn't have envisioned, right, that Cleveland would play this big role in your life, but you go from a 19 or 20-year-old to now you're in your mid-20s. This city's had a real impact on your life outside of the game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, over the past 6 years, I've spent more time here than anywhere else in the world, even home. So this is pretty much like a second home to me. I came here pretty young, had a roommate my first year, and then ever since then kind of been on my own and just trying to figure out the city over those years, get to know the restaurants, different golf courses, and honestly, the city of Cleveland has been great for me. It's been great to my family, and just coming here without knowing what to expect, Cleveland is definitely a second home to me.
Yeah, we think about all the places across the American League that players could end up. Cleveland is unique in that it's a major city with all of these things that support a lifestyle that you might want to live when you're in your early to mid-20s as you are. So how has the city kind of grown on you over time? Because it takes some time. Anytime you move to a new place, I've been there, to discover the city, to sort of understand it. I'm sure that played out over the course of a couple of seasons, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think my first and second year here, like I said, I was still trying to just figure the city out, get to know kind of the people and how the city ran. And, now I look back and I just think how much they love sports. They have all the major sports here, and the city of Cleveland just absolutely loves every single sport. That's what I think is so cool about Cleveland, is how much they care about the city and how much they care about the sports that are here in this city.
When we return on The Landscape, presented by Hospitality Staffing Solutions, we talk to Trey about the atmosphere inside Rocket Arena and how it helps his play on the ice.
Here's Fix-Wolansky, home freeze, he scores! Breakaway goal for Trey Fix-Wolansky, the first of his pro career. Come on!
We talk in generalities a lot about the fans, the fan base, the people that support your team. But I'm sure you've made connections with individual fans now over the course of 5 or 6 seasons. Just that personal connection, that doesn't exist everywhere in my experience. And you're right, I think it speaks to the way the city feels about their sports teams. But it must be a unique feeling as an athlete to, even if you're not in the major leagues, be able to have a personal connection with the fans. I mean, that's a major league thing to achieve, even though you're in the AHL.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously your number one goal is to be playing in the NHL. But when you come to Cleveland and you're playing in the AHL for the Monsters, you're treated like an NHL player by the fans, playing in this building, the atmosphere that they bring. It drives us players, and just the love and passion that they show for our team and for all the teams. It's super special here in Cleveland.
When I think about you and your career with the Monsters, I've been lucky enough to call, I think, every single one of your games, maybe one exception. The fans give you a stage here in Cleveland. I mean, the roars that you've elicited with your not just the goals, but the celebrations, which have become signature for you, just that stage. It's the arena, but it's the people in the arena. It's the atmosphere. How's that helped you in your career? Because confidence is a huge thing with athletes, and when you can make 15,000 people react the way that you have so many times, it has to have played a role in boosting your confidence along the way.
Absolutely. I think my first or second year they started to really understand the kind of game that I played, and it's kind of a grittier game, but a lot of skill as well. So I think they took me under their wing, and I'm happy that I'm the one that they kind of look up to or look forward to for a big goal. I'm sure everyone likes to be that guy, and I like to be the guy that scores the big goal or makes a big hit and kind of gets the crowd into it. I think just being able to go out there and do something that, like you said, gets 15,000 people on their feet or 16,000 people on their feet and cheering, it gives me a ton of confidence. I know it gives the team a ton of confidence, and it's just super fun to be able to play in that kind of environment.
Let's talk a little bit about your role with the team and how it's evolved over the course of time. Of course, you came in as a young player trying to figure out the league, and now you've got a letter on your jersey, and you're a part of the leadership group, formally and informally, just with how long you've been here. So what does that mean to you, that evolution throughout the career? And now you're at a point where you can help some of these young guys. I mean, a player like Jordan Dumais comes to mind, a young guy trying to figure out the American League. You've sort of grown up, in terms of yourself, but also your game, your role. So if you could speak to that process a little bit and how things are different for you when you walk into the room now than they were back in maybe 2019.
Yeah, I think when you're a young kid, you're only focused on playing in the NHL. Yeah. You don't really focus on the career you could have or the kind of impact you could make in the AHL with that organization. And, not a lot of guys are lucky enough to stay with the same organization for 6 years. I've been lucky enough to do that. So, yeah, like you said, it's just when I was coming in, I had older guys that helped me kind of make my way through, understanding the game, understanding the off-ice part of the game, road trips, that kind of stuff. Because you are playing a lot, you're on the bus a lot, so it's a little bit different. And I think coming from junior can be a little bit eye-opening, but I want to be able to help those young guys kind of get to the same position that I'm at now, or even into the NHL. I think that's the number one thing. If you can help a guy get to the NHL, then that feels really great as well.
I'm wondering, who were some of those older guys that played a mentorship role for you right when you were breaking into the pros?
Yeah, I mean, Nathan Gerby is one that comes to mind. Zach Dalpy as well. I was just with Dalps at the All-Star game, so it was really nice to see him again. But Gerby being an undersized guy, the way that he looks after himself, the way that he carries himself at the rink, outside the rink, I think that was a great guy to look up to. And you can pick little things from each and every older guy on the team, and that's what I tried to do.
Let's talk about that, the hockey side of things a little bit. Now, you mentioned being an undersized player. I'm sure that's something that you've heard lots of different things from different people about throughout your career. But, Gerby's a great example of someone who had a great National Hockey League career, and he's smaller than you, of course. He might be the smallest guy to ever play in the National Hockey League or close to it. So what were some of those things that you learned, as that's something that maybe, if not physically, mentally, you've had to overcome in your career? What are some of those lessons he gave you that you've taken with you?
I mean, just play every game or every practice like it's your last. I think he would have the passion and the drive each and every day when he came to the rink, whether it was a workout or a practice or a game. He had that passion and that drive to get better, and I think that's something the main thing that I took from him. Just coming to the rink with a positive attitude, with passion, with drive, and the want to get better, and eventually things will start to go good for you.
Well, things have gone great for you here in Cleveland, so let's talk about some of the accolades you've been able to generate during your time with the Monsters. I mean, let's start with the franchise. I mean, how do you feel when you think about this organization, what the role it's played in your life, and that you're one of those names that's achieved more with this team than most, if not anybody else, especially at your position? So what's it mean to you to have that mantle and to know that it's your play, your hard work, and your production that's given it to you?
Yeah, it means the world to me. Like you said, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of overcoming adversity, being able to stay positive when things maybe aren't going your way. I think there's been a lot of times in my career where things haven't been going great, but just the resiliency, sticking with it, and I think that's what's allowed me to overcome obstacles, adversity, and kind of become the player that I am and be able to hold all those accolades. Like coming into the league as a first-year player, I never expected any of this. So as the years go on and the accolades kept building up, it's super special, and it really means a lot to me and my family for sure.
Coming up, we talk to Trey about how the American Hockey League holds a lot of value to him. This and more when The Landscape, presented by Hospitality Staffing Solutions, returns.
The Cleveland Monsters, forward Trey Fix-Wolansky.
Yeah, the American Hockey League is so unique, in my opinion, in the entire landscape of hockey. I mean, I'm talking from youth hockey all the way to the NHL. The AHL has this, distinct role in the business. So for somebody like you that absolutely wants to be at the highest level, that's the goal. How has the AHL, overcome the fact that it's not the big leagues, but how has it shown itself to be something that still has a lot of value for you personally?
Yeah, I think just the entirety of the league since my first year has gotten better. A lot more prospects in the league. Teams bringing over players from Europe to play in the league. And I think that's just made the league a lot better. There's a lot of high-end skill and a lot of guys in this league that could be playing at the next level. Whether it's adding one or two things to their game to get them there. I think that's what's so great about the AHL is you have time to develop. You have time to develop players, and you might not be ready for the NHL right now, but who's to say that next year, after a year of hard work and battling, that you won't get a chance with the big club?
You've had a solid chunk of time with the Blue Jackets, and you've seen what hockey's like at the highest level here. And it's kind of counterintuitive, but we talk about adjusting to the NHL when you're coming from the American League, but there's an adjustment coming back down too, which illustrates that there's a difference between the two leagues in terms of what happens on the ice. So what is that difference, and how can the AHL be, in a way, it's kind of more challenging to play in?
Yeah, I think when you're at the NHL, you're playing against the best of the best, the best skaters, the best thinkers, the best passers, the best shooters. So you got to be able to compete every night. I think there's guys in the league who definitely aren't the best skills-wise, but they do something else that brings another element to the table that teams find valuable and find that they can put them in the lineup. And so I think that's what's so great about the NHL is there's that difference between the skill of the top-end guys, the bottom six guys, but at the end of the night, they're still the best at what they do, and that's why they're there. So I think just being able to kind of find that niche in the AHL, find what you're good at, and kind of play to that strength, I think that'll definitely allow the AHL to get a little bit better.
Well, let's talk about some of your strengths here, kind of your calling cards as a player. I mean, the production speaks for itself, but the way you approach each and every shift, describe that a little bit, and maybe how it's evolved over the course of your career.
Yeah, definitely worked a lot with the coaches. My first couple years, I feel I was kind of looking to make the perfect play every time, or looking to create offense every shift I was out there. But it's definitely a shift in mentality when you come to pro. You're not gonna you're not gonna get a chance every shift like you might in junior. So you got to be able to just keep grinding the game, and then when that chance comes, you got to be able to bury it. And I think that's something that I've learned to do over my past 6 years is just when there's not a play to be made, maybe making the simple play, and just knowing that eventually throughout the game the chances will come, just based off the player that I am, and not rushing it and kind of just playing patient and letting the game come to me. I think that's been probably the most important thing over the past 6 years.
We talked a little bit earlier about influences on you, mentors sort of in terms of players, but let's talk beyond just Cleveland, coaches that have made a difference in your life and career. That could be coming up, that could be since you've been a pro. Who are some of those individuals who you wouldn't be here without what they taught you?
Yeah, well, growing up, most of the time my dad was the coach, and then a couple of my buddies' dads would help him out, so I got to start with him. Obviously, he pushed me pretty hard, but I think that was kind of why I play the way that I do today. He told me the bigger they are, the harder they fall. So try to mix in a little bit of physicality and catch a guy off guard every now and then. And it wasn't too much me in the garage or anything working on my shot or my stick handling. It was more so going to the outdoor rink or going out onto our front driveway where there was ice and kind of just stick handling out there, saucing the puck around there. That's what definitely got me into wanting to be a hockey player and play hockey for professionally. And then definitely my junior coach, my last year in Edmonton when I was 19. Before coming here, he came from the NHL the year before, and I think he just treated us like pros, and he wanted us to conduct ourselves like pros. So I think that was a very, very good first step for me to get introduced kind of into the pro game, which allowed me to kind of have a pretty seamless transition coming from junior as a 19-year-old to the AHL as a 20-year-old.
When we come back, we talk to Trey about his first NHL goal and what that meant to him and his family. It's all ahead on The Landscape, presented by Hospitality Staffing Solutions.
Pace to this third period, end-to-end. Domi with a pass. Drop there, quick shot, scores! Welcome to the National Hockey League!
He couldn't believe it, but boy, how about his teammates? They were thrilled for him.
I think everybody knows who's going to get this one.
It's pretty surreal experience, but let's keep the wins rolling and take it into Buffalo.
One moment that, of course, in your career I'm sure must stand out is when you scored your first National Hockey League goal.
Yeah.
I remember watching that. Your folks were able to be there in the building and see it and experience that with you. For all the sacrifices that any family makes for their hockey-playing kid, there are many. To get, just through youth hockey, much less well beyond that, what did it mean to you to have that moment and to be able to share that moment with the people that are responsible for you being there?
Yeah, makes me emotional actually. My dad and my mom grinded so hard to get me to where I am, and to be able to score that goal and just see the look on their faces after, it brings me a ton of joy, and I'm just happy that they were there to see it in person and didn't have to watch it on a screen. But yeah, it just makes me super emotional thinking about that moment and kind of all I had to go through to get to that moment, all they had to go through to get me to that moment. So it's definitely something I'll remember forever.
Well, it was something anyone who watched it could see how much it meant, not just to you, but to your parents who were interviewed and all that stuff. I didn't mean to get the waterworks going there, Fixie.
Okay.
Thank you, though. That just speaks to the sacrifice that a family makes, though, because athletes cannot do this on their own. There's no way, especially in hockey, all the travel that's involved and the financial element that is significant when you're starting out as a kid. So if we could just drill down a bit on your family and just how they have paved the road for you to walk on.
Yeah, early practices, getting up at 5 in the morning, going to the rink for a 6 a.m. practice, going to school after. Anytime at Christmas, I would ask for a new stick. Usually, my mom would find a way to get it for me. And I think that's just something, that as a young kid, you look back at now and you're super grateful for all the things that they did, driving you around, taking you to school, taking you to hockey from school. They really never stop. And then obviously the money side of things too. It's not cheap to play hockey in Canada, and they were never shy about shelling money out to help me chase my dream and allow me to try and become a professional hockey player, which is where I'm at now.
Yeah, and to be a professional hockey player that has made an impact on a major league city, I'm sure that they are as proud as you are of everything that you've achieved. Fixie, let's bring it back to Cleveland as we wrap it up here. We talked about its impact on you at a specific time in your life, but what's something about playing here, whether it be the city or the Monsters themselves, just the Monsters organization, what's something that would maybe surprise people to know about it, or something that's made a serious impact on you individually about coming here, not just to the league, but to Cleveland?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with the organization. You would think, being a part of a arena where there's NBA, that you would kind of be pushed to the side, but that's not really the truth. Everyone in this arena takes great care of us, and the fans love us. So I think that's just something about the organization. And then the city, I mean, we were fortunate enough to stay quite a bit longer last year in playoffs. So the weather started to turn around, and they got Edgewater Beach. There's a lot of great restaurants and kind of bars down in the flats that you can go down to and enjoy the sun at. So I think being able to come here, enjoy the sun, not worry about it being too cold. I think that was super cool for me, because that was the first time that we've truly been around for that long and been able to see kind of the switch in weather, and everyone's outside having a good time down in the flats. And I love Cleveland, and I can't say enough great things about the city.
Well, the city loves you too, man, and thank you for doing this today. Thank you for an amazing run here with the Monsters, and on a personal note, thanks for giving me so many great moments to call. I mean, from the playoff run last year to all the big goals, it's been a pleasure, it's been a privilege to work with you, and thank you for doing this today. A great look at what Cleveland has meant to you and what you have meant to the city. So thanks for being here.
Thanks, Tony. I appreciate it a lot.
That'll do it for this episode of The Landscape. Make sure to tune back into future episodes as we bring you guests from across the land. You can find us on Rock Entertainment Sports Network or wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, I'm Tony Brown.